Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Dank Times Danker Thoughts with me, Angelo Grosso. Episode 113. Not too shabby. We're going to start things off by recapping the story of God. And some of you might think, well, this is a little superficial, or it's a little trolly, but blah 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 blah. But I think this summarizes the American Christianity belief system, the ideology, better than anything I've ever seen. And I believe we need to look at such things because the way that this country is going, and even though Christianity and religion and church attendance is at an all-time low, somehow, some way, this type of ideology that I'm about to read off to you here is somehow still running the country. And just look at Roe v. Wade getting overturned any day now. I mean, women are losing all kinds of rights because of some white man with a beard in the sky. So here is a short history of God. He creates Adam and Eve. He then creates evil. He populates the world through incest. Then he is surprised that evil exists. Let's remind everybody he did create evil. He is then clueless about how to deal with evil. So then he drowns the entire planet, saving one small family of very, very skilled shipbuilders. He populates the world through incest again, and is surprised that evil exists again. He then sends diseases, starvation, plagues, tsunamis, etc., and after all of that, he is still bewildered by the existence of evil. He then blames the devil, which he created. He then rapes a girl, so she'll give birth to himself as his own son, so that we can torture and kill him/his son, so that he can forgive us for being so evil. I mean, if that doesn't sum up the story of Mary and Joseph and the birth of Jesus, nothing will. Let me read that again. He rapes a girl, because I don't think Mary stood a chance against all-powerful deity. Rapes a girl, so she'll give birth to himself as his own son, because again, the Holy Trinity, so that we can torture and kill him/his son, so that he can forgive us for being so evil. It really does put your head in a pretzel if you think about it. He then says, just joking, 3 days later, and brings his son back to life because he's lonely, claims omniscience and omnipotence, and then expects to be worshipped for his wisdom and love. And if that doesn't perfectly summarize the American Christian, nothing will. Let's move on from spiritual hot takes and move on to a very NC-17 XXX rated segment, because your boy just got some ass the other day. And let's talk about it. Now, I'm going to talk about a little bit of a taboo subject here. It's something that I've learned over the last few years and had knowledge on, but I haven't really voiced my opinion or my findings about this. And some of what I'm about to tell you may shock and awe some of you. And if there's any children listening, stay tuned, because I'm going to teach you some information that your parents probably aren't going to teach you. But with parental supervision, let's begin this segment about Angelo, sexy time stories. Wish I could get a saxophone. That's when I would play the intro to this. So let me back up a little bit here. I think the last podcast or 2 or 3 ago, I was talking about, I took a little hiatus from online dating, went back on, and I was kind of surprised at my level of likes that I was getting from some pretty attractive women and some quality women. Sometimes being attractive and quality don't always go hand in hand. And I was 0 for 2 with my meetups, and there was a third one that I was kind of excited about, but we got along pretty good. She was pretty honest and open about things. And I thought, at the very least, we'll have a fun time. And I decided that let's go meet at a coffee shop. That way we can get a little latte or coffee action or tea if that's more her speed. We'd get some light food. And then we'd go next door and I would get a pedicure for us both. And I thought that would be a good first date. And if the weather was nice, we'd walk around later, blah, 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 blah. And she said, sure. And then the day of the date, she told me, I should have told you, I don't have a car. So I'm going to be dropped off. And since my job is right next to where you live, can you just give me your address, and then my friend can drop me off at your house, and then we can go wherever. And I said, okay, as long as you feel safe and comfortable coming to a stranger's house, because I know the mass majority of women don't and shouldn't feel this way, but she did. And I'm a safe guy. I'm not going to do any spooky shit. And so I said, okay, go right ahead. So she got dropped off, and I showed her around the house a little bit. But then I saw how she was dressed and how she was looking, and I was very attracted right away. And I was like, ooh, I don't think she showed up just for us to go get a pedicure and get a little coffee. I don't think so. She's kind of dressed kind of fancy, but kind of sexily as well. And by the way, I wasn't. I was wearing a dirty-ass t-shirt and kind of lounge sweatpants because I thought we were going to go get a pedicure. So you want to have relaxing pants so that you can pull them up, above your knees so that they can do their work. And she was not dressed like that. I could tell by her body language that she was kind of being sexually forward with me. And I thought, I didn't expect this. I never expect or assume sex at all. Well, let me take that back. I don't expect that, especially on a first date. Not so much on a second date, but if we make it to a third date, it's in the back of my head. In fact, I'm probably going to push for it on the third date as long as the vibe and the comfortableness is there. If it's not, I obviously will not force it on any woman. But on this occasion, I could tell right away within the half hour, she was kind of letting me know that she's into me. And I thought, well, let's see. Maybe I'm reading her wrong, but let me take a flyer here. And so I told her, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go and get that latte and maybe a little croissant we were talking about and get a pedicure? Do you want to hang around here? We could order some takeout and get Uber Eats delivered here, or we can watch a movie. What do you want to do? And then she kind of got really close to me and said, well, let's just stay here. And that's when I thought, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. And yeah, about 10, 15 minutes later, we were up in my bedroom. And again, I did not plan this. I did not assume anything. She later told me that she had a good feeling about me and about the situation because I was, again, I've been told this many times, the only guy that she talked to on online dating that actually treated her with respect and honesty and kindness, and I wasn't sexually aggressive or anything like that. And that attracted her to me very much so. So she kind of made up her mind that if I was who I was online, that she probably would be open to intimacy. And I must have did something right within the first half hour of us meeting because, yeah, we ordered Mexican food and then went upstairs. And this is where I may ruffle some feathers here, but I consider this podcast a R-rated podcast, specifically for reasons like this. And, I do curse a lot, and dare I say sometimes I'm racist or sexist or ageist, but it's all in good fun, I hope. But anyway, this girl was, for the lack of a better word, very giving, meaning she liked to induce pleasure first, which is kind of like me. I have a hard time climaxing if I'm the first one to do it. I try my hardest when I get an erection to last at least 7 minutes. 7 minutes is my golden number. That's why I have digital clocks everywhere so that I can make sure, like, okay, when are we starting to fuck here? 7:13. Okay, just let me last until 7:20, baby. 7:21 if I'm happy, because by then I feel like I'm comfortable enough in my sexual prowess to induce their gasm before me. And I don't know why, but it's just how I've always been. I don't like coming early. I don't like having them kind of have that, not depressed, but kind of just disappointed face. Like, oh, already? Which, hey, it's happened to me plenty of times. And when I was younger, it used to really beat me up, and I would actually not talk to girls again afterwards. I mean, it fucked me up bad in my early sexual life and into my late 20s. And I would have to say probably religion had something to do with it. My over sexualized father had something to do with it. And, just how I was raised around it, the era, the media I took in, the music, the movies, anything. But anyway, I was with this chick and we were going at it, and she was doing things to like the pregame that were so, what's a good word? Because it was so fast. Like, I think she was trying to get me to bagok really quick. And I don't know why. Maybe she had her own internal clock going, and this is something that she wants to do the whole time. So I kind of had to like calm her down, because I have an issue, which I would imagine most men do, that if a woman is too abrasive or too aggressive, it is hard to get an erection. And this is what was happening with me. We were making out, we were licking and sucking and nibbling on each other, but I still wasn't getting hard. In fact, when I looked down at it, it just looked like a little turtle head, and I'm not talking snapper, and it just wasn't happening. And she would look every now and then, and if I was in my 20s, I would have been horrified. I would have started to sweat. I would have been, well, hold on a minute. I would have been my own worst enemy in that time. But now that I'm have a little bit of experience under my belt, I started to joke about it and laugh about it with her, which made things kind of cool down. And I think she picked up the hint that, okay, let's just chill. Let's just work our way up to it a little bit. Because when I, checked her down there, she was ready to go. And I wasn't. And so I said, okay, well, sometimes this happens. So let's just go at a pace that I can read her body, she can read mine. And honestly, about 2 to 3 minutes later, I don't think I was even half hard yet. But again, she was doing things to me that were so, well, for the lack of a better word, kind of sexually aggressive, that I begocked with half a chub. And I think it even surprised her. But like most female heroes, and again, this is going to be a little X-rated here, she was giving me a mouth hug at the time, and she was so good at it that's when I was begocked. And like a gentleman, I always say, oh, it's going to happen. What do you want me to do? I usually say that between 30 seconds before I get my fire hose going, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, like most wonderful, wonderful women, the best of the best, she kept her mouth hug on there and took care of everything, if you catch my drift. And oh my God, if only every woman did that. No, I'm kidding. I know not every woman like doing that and find it demeaning and durka. But ladies, most men will want to marry you if you do that well. And if you moan a little bit by doing it and making noises like you're enjoying it, oh, even better. Where's my engagement ring, And by the way, she was doing that as well. And I was just so kind of, I was so worked up that, of course, it happened so quickly. And my first reaction was to apologize. But I said, no, that's old Angelo. And so instead, I just laughed and said, wow, look what you made me do. Ha, ha, ha. You're really good at that. Which, guys, I think most women like to be complimented when they make you bagurk, because that's what they're trying to do. If they have any kind of good character, that is what they want to do. They want to make you happy. And let's be crystal clear. How is one indication that a man is happy during sex because of what a woman is doing? He opens up like the size of a silver dollar, and like I said, just fire hoses everywhere. And if a girl says, ew, gross, or like closes her eyes and puts her hands up and hides from it, I don't know I don't know, at least for me, that's what I'm looking for. If that's a attractive quality in a woman. I also don't want a woman to just like dive into it like it's an above ground pool. But there is a balance, and this girl was, head above shoulders above the rest. And because of that, we started making out again. My erection got to full mast, and then for the rest of the evening, we kept at it. We even took a break to get our Mexican food, and then we chilled a little bit and had some more. And at the end of it, I begacked 5 or 6 times, which may be an all-time Angelo gasm record. Usually I have a good 2 to 3 in me if it's good, passionate, sexy time. But with this one, with what she was doing, and by the way, I haven't even described her yet. She is drop dead gorgeous. I was so shocked when a girl that looked like her, as attractive as her, swiped yes on me. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a fake account. I thought I was going to get an OnlyFans subscription notification, everything. And no, not at all. The fact that I was the first guy that she's been with on online dating, the one that I was the only one that she felt safe with, I think she was kind of overcompensating a little bit. And I'm not going to complain about that. And she said, look, I don't give white boys the time of day normally because, they don't have any kind of soul, no style, no character, no charisma, and you have it all. And I'm like, I know. Yeah, keep telling me this. This is what I need to hear during sexy time. And she had the audacity to tell me, right when we started fooling around, that, yes, she does take intense pleasure from pleasuring others. So she likes making guys bagak. And her own, orgasms and everything, it's harder to do. She said, it takes a long time and sometimes even I can't do it. So don't feel like you have to. I'm happy just to make you happy. But to me, that's unacceptable. And I told her, nope, I'm going to try my hardest. And guys, mission accomplished. Not only did I make her legs quiver and shake, but I did it multiple times. Not as much as me, of course. I mean, I got to say, by the fifth bagak, I was convulsing like this was the Exorcist movie because I didn't think I had any fluids left in me by that. And I'll be damned if that more, obviously the fire hose kept coming. And I honestly thought by round 5, I thought my dick was going to be like one of those Looney Tune guns. Instead of a bullet, a little bang thing pops out. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I gotta say, it was an amazing sex. It was surprise sex. It was not anticipated sex. And I will say, usually that's the best sex because you weren't expecting it. And it's usually more passionate that way. Because I think if you are expecting sex, you build it up in your head, and then it starts to cloud your judgment. It starts to cloud what you're saying. It starts to cloud whether or not you're being truthful. Because I'm a guy, and let's face facts. The first thought most guys have when they wake up in the morning involves their cock and putting it into a wet vagina, preferably a wet vagina. And so that's why we get up out of the morning. It is what controls us 24/7, 365. It is a evolutionary downside, I think, to our gender. But that's if you believe in genders. I think this is also an important time to say that she enjoyed making me bagak because she enjoyed the bagakening. And she's not the first girl to tell me that they enjoy that. They like it, again, in their mouth. They like it in them. They like it on their bodies. They like it in their whatever. Women also like watching porn, okay? And what is one of the main components of porn are blowjobs and aggressive blowjobs. And I think there's a whole thing on Pornhub called face fucking. Not my preferred thing. I don't like seeing women look like they're in pain and agony and their mascara's running and they're making choking sounds. To me, that's doesn't do it for me. But some women probably are turned on by that. And actually, I shouldn't say probably. I know because they have told me. And I've had the benefit of having them go down on me a few times. So I think we need to understand and announce that, you know what? It's not only men that like making women come. Women, the cool women, the real winner women, like making their partners come just as much as we do, guys. And guys, if you're in the middle of sexy time and you can't read body language, you got to look it up on Pornhub. You got to figure it out. And I will say one of the positive benefits of me watching so much porn growing up is that I kind of learned how to do certain sexual moves. It's not just missionary, and it's not just the girl on top. There's a lot of different positions you can do. Now, I'm not in the greatest shape, but I do what I can. And I will say, I have tried to style my fucking after the porn actor Owen Gray. Now, most women will know who Owen Gray is. And if you don't know who he is, go to any porn website that you use and type in Owen Gray, and you will see a man putting in some holy work. I mean, the things that he does to those women and that they pay him back, believe me, and that he's probably the first male porn actor that I'm aware of that women that I know that watch porn know and love him. And I gotta say, most women that I know of that watch porn like lesbian porn, but I've never really heard them liking a male actor's porn as much as Owen Gray. So that's what I try to be. Now, I'm nowhere near an Owen Gray in any department at all. I'm not 6 foot whatever. I'm not covered in tats. I don't have an elbow on my penis. But the passion that he does, his hand placements, the way that he kisses, the way that he puts pleasure above aggressiveness, above demeaning. You know, there is a level of romance to it. So that's what I try to do because it just kind of clicks with me. Because maybe that's what gets me off. Maybe that's the porn that I grew up watching. I don't know. Maybe that's the movies I saw. I can't put my finger on it. But I will say, I am not the kind of guy who only cares about himself, wants to begawk, and then I roll over and I'm done. I will do my fucking hardest and damnedest to make a girl go quivery. And I will say, I'm pretty good at it lately, the last few years. And whenever a girl tells me, don't worry about making me come, it's damn near impossible. And then to me, that's a personal challenge. Within reason. I don't want to hurt them or go too long or make them uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? You know, again, read body language. And even if they say something, you can really look in their eyes and tell them that they're just saying it because they think they have to say it, or they're saying it because they want to make you happy. No. To me, that doesn't work. I want it to be mutual satisfaction in that sexy time begawking department. So, it was wonderful sex, and admit that most men are fucking animal savages, scum, when it comes to sex. We really are in our sexual thoughts. But you know what? The older I get, the more I realize there is a large contingent of women that are just as savage, that are just as animalistic, and really are as slobs as much as us. So guys, you just got to find yourself a fellow swine and then just make a go of it, okay? And if you want sexy time ideas or if you need advice, hey, hit your boy up because apparently I got that magic wand dick. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about some news. China says it may have detected aliens and then abruptly deletes report. Ooh. Now, before you guys freak out and start downloading Duolingo to learn Mandarin here, that's at least 10 years away, by the way, let's get into the story here. There's something out there, maybe. China's science ministry said this week that it picked up signs of alien life on the world's largest radio telescope, then appeared to quickly delete a report about the discovery. The country's powerful Sky Eye telescope detected electromagnetic signals of possible civilizations on other planets, according to a report published Tuesday in Science and Technology Daily, the official newspaper of China's Ministry of Science and Technology. There were several cases of possible technological traces and extraterrestrial civilizations from outside the Earth, the report said. The team of researchers headed by the Beijing Normal University said the mysterious frequencies were unlike anything they'd previously encountered and were investigating further, according to the report. We need a backup. Did y'all catch the name of the university? It is called the Beijing Normal University. Like, move along here. Nothing unnormal to see here, folks. Normal? Why would you put the word normal on a communist dictator university? It's only going to attract attention. But you know what? Let me see. Beijing Normal University. Yeah, nothing fishy happens there. There's a picture of it. It's a pretty cool building. Beijing Normal University, colloquially known as Baishida, is a public research university located in Beijing with a strong emphasis on humanities and sciences. Ooh, even has the address and the phone number. Has 24,700 students and was founded in 1902. But it needs a name change. Especially if you want the West to believe anything that comes out of a university that has the word normal in it. Don't worry about it. This is a totally legit and normal university. Sounds like something Trump would invest in. But the report had apparently been removed from the newspaper's website by Wednesday, even as the news began trending on the nation's popular social network site Weibo, along with other media outlets, according to Time.com. Weibo? That's a social network site? Weibo? I thought that's what you call white dweebs who are infatuated with Japanese anime and manga and all that bullshit. But anyway, it was not immediately clear why the article had been yanked from the website. But Zhang Tongji, chief scientist of the university's extraterrestrial civilization search team, was quoted in the report saying the signals could have been radio interference. The possibility that the suspicious signal is some kind of radio interference is also very high, and it needs to be further confirmed and ruled out. This may be a long process, said Zhang. The 500-meter single-dish sky eye launched in southwestern Guizhou province in September 2020 with the primary goal of detecting life on other planets. In 2020, researchers also detected 2 sets of suspicious signals along with a signal earlier this year linked to the so-called exoplanet targets, Zhang said, according to the report. The latest research was also conducted by the National Astronomical Observatory of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the University of California, Berkeley. So, if the Chinese are the first ones to detect extraterrestrial life, you have to ask yourself, what are they going to do with that knowledge? Because, I hate to break it to you, if America is the first one to learn, do you really think we're going to play nice and share with everybody? Fuck no. I don't think Russia would play nice. I don't think the mass majority of superpowers would play nice and share with others, unless it was a Scandinavian country or a more progressive Latin American country, because I think they are of higher elite brain power when it comes to culture and society and just how to run things. So if US, Russia, or China are the first ones to discover Martians, I just don't think they're going to share, unless it'd be like a District 9 or a Arrival type situation. Those are 2 banging movies. Now, it would be kind of crazy if China is the first country to talk to extraterrestrials, and what if they start sharing technology? Well, that'd be nice. And then the Chinese government would have somebody else to steal from. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about sports. A Seattle icon has announced that she will retire. Suzanne Bridget Bird, better known as Sue Bird, has announced that she will retire at the end of the 2022 WNBA season. And that was kind of a big news today. And it was huge news, at least in the local markets and in the WNBA circles, because when you really think about it, Sue Bird not only is one of the best WNBA players of all time, one of the best female college athletes of all time, but in the realm of Seattle sports icons, I would say she would almost have to be on the Mount Rushmore of Seattle sports. She's up there, in my opinion, with King Griffey, with Russell Wilson, and let's see, am I missing anyone mega famous? Let's see, from Seattle Sonics. I guess you could maybe put Gary Payton on there, but since we don't have the Sonics anymore, it's kind of tough. Russell Wilson is by far the best Seahawk we ever had. King Griffey Jr. is by far the best Mariner we ever had. So I guess if you're going to stick with the teams we still have, you'd have to put Edgar Martinez up there too. So there's your 4 Seattle sports icons, in my opinion. And it sucks because you're missing out on all the great Sonics players, but we don't have the team anymore. How many Hall of Famers do we have with Seattle Sonic ties? I know Gary Payton has the last Sonics jersey, but yeah, he would be the 5th, I would say. But yeah, Sue Bird, Griffey, Edgar, and Russ, and I think it's well deserving. I'm going to read to you the following achievements and accolades. Suzanne Bridget Bird, born on October 16th, 1980. She is 41 years old, by the way, still playing at the top of her game. She's an American-Israeli professional basketball player for the Seattle Storm of the WNBA. She was drafted by the Storm first overall in the 2002 WNBA draft and is considered to be one of the greatest players in WNBA history. As of 2021, She's the only WNBA player to win titles in 3 different decades. She held a front office position for the NBA Denver Nuggets as their basketball operations associate, and she also played for 3 teams in Russia, and she holds both U.S. and Israeli citizenship. Well, I won't hold that against her. I kid the Jews. In high school, she was the New York State Player of the Year, the New York Daily News Player of the Year, and a WBCA All-American. In her senior year, on the undefeated University of Connecticut team in 2002, she won the Wade Trophy and the Naismith Award as College Player of the Year. She finished her UConn career ranked first in three-point field goal percentages and free throw percentages, second in assists and steals, and as a 3-time winner of the Nancy Lieberman Award as the top point guard in the nation, while leading her team to a record of 114-4. I mean, right then and there, it backs up what I was saying. One of the best college athletes, regardless of gender, in history. Sue Bird has won a joint record 4 WNBA championships with the Seattle Storm, 2004, 2010, 2018, and 2020. She's also a historic 5 Olympic gold medalist, 04, 08, 2012, 16, and 2020. 2-time NCAA championship with UConn, 2000, 2002, and 4-time FIBA World Cup, which I don't know what that is, sorry. She is also one of only 11 women to attain all 4 accolades. She's also a 5-time EuroLeague Women's Champion, and during her WNBA career, she's been selected to 12 All-Star teams and 8 All-WNBA teams. Additionally, she was voted by fans as one of the WNBA's top 15 players of all time and was voted into the WNBA Top 2020 as one of the league's top 20 players of all time in 2016 and was voted into the W25 as one of the league's top 25 players of all time in 2021. Her 5th Olympic gold medal at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo makes her one of only 2 Olympic basketball players of either gender ever to win 5 gold medals, the other player being her U.S. Olympic teammate, Diana Taurasi. So those accolades are just... if you're a sports fan at all, you have to understand, like, you don't get players like this very often. It's once in a generational talent. Now, I'm not a huge fan, nor do I know much about the WNBA, but I know the Seattle Storm because of Sue Bird. To me, she is the equivalent of maybe a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, the jabroni from Golden State, what's his name? That doesn't matter. She's up there in terms of that, but just because it's a women's basketball, you just don't know much. And, you know, she's not just a sports icon. She also is an LGBTQ icon. And she came out publicly as a lesbian on July 20th, 2017, revealing that she had been dating soccer player Megan Rapinoe for several months. In 2018, they became the first same-sex couple on the cover of ESPN's magazine, and they announced their engagement on October 30th, 2020. And you could look at Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird, and it doesn't take a genius to know that that is a lesbian power couple. That has got to be the most powerful lesbian couple in all LGBTQ plus whatever in that whole world. They have to be. Name me a bigger lesbian couple. I'm waiting. What? Oprah? She's not out yet. Who else is rumored to be a lesbian? Oh, well, the biggest lesbian that has not come out is obviously Hillary Clinton. If that lady's not a lesbian, then I'm a vegan, because you look up butch in the dictionary, there's a picture of Hillary yelling at one of her campaigns, because Jesus Christ, I don't care what Bill Clinton has put her through, which has been a lot, and she stood by him. I think she would get more support in this country, definitely during the last election, if she came out of the closet and said, you know what, I've been a big rug muncher my entire life, but ironically, I'm also against gay marriage because I need the Christian votes. But you know what? It's 2016. Fuck all that noise. I like rug munching. I'm a dyke, and I'm proud of it. And Bill supports my decision. So let's go, baby. I think she may have won the election against Trump if she just would have admitted what everyone's common sense and eyesight can tell them. Hillary Clinton is a les. And really, the only power couple that could outdo Sue Bird and Rapinoe, in my opinion, would be the Megazord power couple of Oprah and Hillary Clinton. Can you imagine during the 2024 election, the Democrats to say, have we got a surprise for you? And it's like a big announcement. It's like the LeBron James decision thing. It's that kind of hype. And then out comes Oprah, and she's like, hello, I'm lesbian with Hillary. And they come out together, just like an Ellen DeGeneres audience, and everyone's clapping. Oh, I think they may sweep the elections. But I'm also high as fuck, and who the fuck knows? But with that, let's move on to the last sports news, which is the Mariners gave arguably their worst player this year a 2-year deal. Jesse Winker and the Mariners have agreed on a 2-year deal worth $14.5 million. This guy, we traded a lot for him in the offseason. He was supposed to be one of the final pieces of this team. And instead, he's giving us a 214 average and a 326 on base. And that 326 on base is so low when you consider he's leading baseball in walks. He has a negative wins above replacement. He not having any of the power. Last year, he was a starting all-star for the Cincinnati Reds. And it's a complete 180. And when we traded for him, it was known that this would be his contract year. So instead of saying, you know what, we've given him, 60, 70 games, and he's rewarded us by barely hitting above the Mendoza line and struggling really all year with just making solid contact with the ball, maybe we should try trading him or let him hit free agency, see what happens. But no, instead, we gave him a $14.5 million contract. Maybe we're banking on him turning it around, but this to me sums up what's wrong with the current Seattle Mariner team. I don't know if it's service. I don't know if it's Dipoto. I have faith and trust in both of them, but it's wearing thin. We can't keep winning a game and then losing 2 games. Winning a game, losing 2 games. We win 4 series in a row and then we lose 3 in a row. It's just not sustainable, and that's not what winning teams do. Winning teams also don't pinch hit batters that are hitting worse than the person they're pinch hitting for, and especially when that original hitter is having a good game. The amount of times I've seen Scott Service, our Seattle Mariners manager, take out a Dylan Moore or a Taylor Trammell or a Cal Raleigh when they are having a multi-hit game, and they pinch hit them for a Winker or for someone off the bench who is going out cold. And of course, I don't think it's ever worked out, those pinch hitters. But instead of going off of that Moneyball logic, which is what those pinch hitters are, Dylan Moore may have gone 3 for 4 with a home run and a double, but that's against righties, and against lefties, he's batting Durka. So let's pinch hit this other guy for Dylan Moore, even though Dylan Moore is having a hot game. Oh, and that other guy just strikes out in 4 pitches. What the fuck? Well, that's what Moneyball says. That's what the analytics say. Well, you know what the analytics also say, probably, is don't pay a guy a big contract when he's hitting barely above the Mendoza line and very little home runs and very little power, and he's not that good of a defender, but he's doing good on walks. I highly doubt the analytics is telling you to re-sign that guy, let alone play him as much as we are. We finally benched his ass, and he should have been benched a month ago, in my opinion. So you can't trust the analytics, Scott, sometimes, and ignore them otherwise. But you know what? I don't like this move, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's see if Winker hits better after a couple days off and a new contract. So let's see. And I forgot one last sports story, my bad, is what to do with DK Metcalf. I cannot believe we haven't signed him yet to an extension, especially after we cut Carlos Dunlap and freed up about $5 or $7 million that we could have used for a Metcalf extension, which now makes me think, are we going to extend Metcalf? And if I'm going forward with this line of thinking, should we extend Metcalf? Because I heard a decent argument on sports radio the other day. Wide receivers are becoming a dime a dozen, meaning you are finding top tier wide receivers in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th rounds these days. Now, true, DK Metcalf is a special specimen. You don't see many players like him. But look how many rookies had outrageous years the last few years as wide receivers. And that guy in the sports radio was saying there's such a glut of wide receivers that other positions are getting higher prioritized because the numbers just aren't there, like deep backs. A lot of kids are growing up wanting to play a wide receiver to get that wide receiver money, to get the spotlight, make big plays. And less kids want to play a corner, want to play safety. And so now you're seeing the transition. A lot of wide receivers are getting transitioned into deep backs because they're just not enough. I mean, the Seahawks drafted one this year, and Richard Sherman was that. Richard Sherman originally was a wide receiver, and the Seahawks didn't make him a corner. I think Stanford did his senior year. My point being, maybe we should trade DK Metcalf for 2 first-round picks, and then you could get a wide receiver that's slightly not as good as DK, but still pretty good. Maybe you could get a Jamar Chase, or maybe you could get a Van Jefferson in the 2nd or 3rd rounds, because you're getting damn good production out of young wide receiver talents out of college in pretty much all rounds. So that's all I'm saying. And you can usually make that $25 million a year that you're going to give DK Metcalf and spread it across other positions so that maybe you get some damn good offensive and defensive linemen. What the fuck do I know? I'm just a common sense sports fan that have been watching winning teams have the same success year after year after year, and the one common factor is that they have a damn good offensive and defensive line. Because when you have those two lines being great, it makes every other position better. Wide receivers play better, deep backs play better. Duh. But with that, we're done with the news. So let's move on to some other fun topics. Well, I hope they're fun topics to you. They're fun topics to me. So let's continue. I want to talk about a TV show I started, and it's been on my watch list for years, really since the pandemic. And that's the show Raised by Wolves on HBO. And I talked a little bit about it the last episode here, and I think I was saying I was going to start to watch it, or maybe I watched the first episode. I don't quite remember. But now I have been binge watching it like crazy. And to me, binge watching is like an episode a day, maybe 2 episodes if I got shite to do. It's hard for me to kind of grade this or kind of rate it. So instead, I'm just going to talk about why I like it and why I'm still kind of confused by it, and sometimes I get kind of pissy about it. Overall, I think the series is pretty damn good. It's telling a new story, and not to give away spoilers or anything, but it takes place on an alien planet. And you really feel like this is a brand new world. They do a great job of setting up the landscapes, setting up the greenery, the animals all look unique. And yeah, it just really does make you feel like you're on an alien planet. Now, the plot, the scenery, cinematography, the music, all of that shit is prime. However, sometimes the writing is so goddamn bad, I catch myself pulling out my hair. And the acting is hit and miss. But there is a little wrinkle there with that whole critique of the acting. The 2 main characters are playing androids, and that is Abu Bakar Salim is playing father, and Amanda Collin is playing mother. Now, Amanda Collin and the mother character are sometimes so off-putting that I could barely look at her, and other times I'm so infatuated with her that I cannot look away. And she's so good at playing kind of a cold-hearted, just cold, stern-looking android, but then she has moments of like breakdown where she's so over-dramatic, but you kind of have to remember that maybe she's not trying to be an over-actor. She's not trying to be so over the top that she belongs in a Bollywood film, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I give her credit, actually, by being able to be all over the spectrum of acting. And I talked a little bit about my admiration for the actor Travis Fimmel, who's the other main character and the main star of the show. So I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to give away spoilers, but definitely check it out if you like science fiction, like spaceships, aliens, androids, new civilizations, that kind of shit. If you like Star Trek, Star Wars, that kind of shit, watch it. If you're a fan of The Expanse, which you know how much I love the series Expanse, check out Raised by Wolves. The first season ended on such a shitty note that I know a lot of people were turned off by it. And I gotta be honest, I was too initially. But I thought the writing has been iffy this season, but this is probably the worst I've ever seen in a season finale in a long time. So instead of rushing to a conclusion and judging it like a motherfucker, I said, well, let me look online, see if I misunderstood things, that maybe I need clarification. And once I sifted through people that were just raging, but how this is one of the worst series finales of all time, how they fucked over their audiences, they fucked over their fans, yada, 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 I finally did find an explanation to the ending that divided everyone. Game of Thrones was divisive. And the explanation that I found explained some things that I was confused about, that I thought had some plot holes and whatnot. And so I recommend that if you watch the first season and you were not a fan of the ending, know that you were not alone. But I would say give the second season 2 episodes of your time. And at the end of that, if you're not happy, then I would stop watching. Because that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm on the 3rd episode of the 2nd season. And I'm glad I kept watching it. Because, yeah, my knee-jerk reaction was, let's stop watching this clusterfuck of a show. But I'm glad I held on. And I actually think this is the last season. I don't think they announced a season 3. But anyway, I teased it while I was talking about this. But I finally put on that very, very popular, I guess it's not really Bollywood. I think it's Tollywood or a Collywood movie. It's the RRR movie on Netflix. The RRR means Rise, Roar, and Revolt. It is an Indian movie. It's a fictitious story about 2 legendary revolutionaries and their journey away from home before they started fighting for their country in the 1920s. And this is this is your first foray into the Indian film subculture of Bollywood or Collywood or Tollywood. There is some differences, but I'll be honest, I don't know the differences all that well. There's a lot of dancing. There's a lot of over-the-top action and CGI, a lot of slow-motion action scenes, a lot of homoerotic stuff that reminded me of Top Gun. But you know what? It's pretty goddamn entertaining. Does a guy outrun a wolf in the jungle and then punch out a tiger and then later befriends the tiger and fights alongside him, all the while to Bollywood music in the background and dancing in slow motion with the tiger? Yes. Does that make your head just go into a tailspin? Of course. But you know what? Take care. It's going to be a soft landing, okay? The movie is fun. But the downside is it's over 3 hours long. And I still have about an hour and a half to go. I can't watch this movie for more than 20 or 30 minutes at a time because there's so much disbelief that I have to accept that even for my puny American brain, I cannot do it in one sitting. But if you like over-the-top storytelling, and if you like watching different cultures of cinema, and if you aren't triggered by subtitles, I would watch RRR. At least watch the first 40 minutes, which is the intro. But moving on, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series continues to baffle me. I feel like out of the 5 episodes, and the last episode's coming up next week, out of the 5 episodes, 4 of them have been very boring or outright garbage. In my opinion, still, Part 3 was by far not only the best Obi-Wan Kenobi episode, but one of the best streaming Star Wars episodes I have ever seen. And I would say it's probably in the top best live action Star Wars movie or shows that I've seen in my lifetime. So I had high hopes for the rest of the series after episode 3. Episode 4 was so bad, and episode 5 was not as bad as 4 and 2 and 1, but still it didn't even hold a candle to part 3. So with the finale coming up, I can only hope that there's going to finally be an epic battle between Vader and Kenobi, because they've been teasing it for how many hours? Almost 5 hours. I could give a fuck about any of the other side characters. I cannot believe that the show is called Obi-Wan, and yet Obi-Wan is the main character, but they're still introducing all these other characters like, we don't give a figgity fuck. I want to see hot ass Ewan McGregor twirl his beard, shoot laser beams, hold his lightsaber across his crotch, light it up, and have me thinking really weird thoughts. And then have him fight Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader outfit. And I want to see Vader's mask get fucked up. And I want to see Hayden Christensen's fucked up face through the mask. And that's what I want. And I think that's what every Star Wars fandom wants. So, are we going to get that with part 6 next week? God help you if you don't. And I am really enjoying, more so than I thought, the Miss Marvel series. I thought this is going to be kind of bullshitty, kind of teeny bopper. I don't know. I don't know this character. I never grew up with this character. Is this PC woke stuff too far? I had all these thoughts because I was ignorant of the character and ignorant of the director or everything about it. But I said, you know what? I've given every Disney streaming series a chance. I shouldn't change my opinion on this because I don't know this character. Let me watch the first episode. And I was pleasantly blown away. And then I thought, well, okay, this is the introduction. Surely the next episode 2, is not going to be as good. It was, and it was kind of better. Because episode 1, I could nitpick it a little bit, but episode 2, I really couldn't nitpick. It was pretty damn good. I am loving the main character. She's played by Iman Vellani, and I have never seen this actress in anything, but she is so fucking good, and she is perfect for this role of Miss Marvel. What else has she been in? She hasn't been in much that I know of. Is this her first major acting credit? Yeah, look at that. I'm looking at her IMDb, and she only has 2 credits, being Miss Marvel and then the eventual Marvels movie that's going to come out next year. So yeah, this is her first ever role. Well, good for you, Iman Vellani. She is so good in it, and she just reminds me of kind of a Peter Parker type character in what was that animated Spider-Verse movie that was really good with the black Spider-Man teeny kid when the grown-up Spider-Man dies into the Spider-Verse? Is that the movie I'm thinking of? Miles Morales? Into the Spider-Verse. Is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so Miss Marvel kind of has certain parts of the episodes are a little similar to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, with some of their design and some of the artwork floating through the episode, because she is kind of a scatterbrain character, and she daydreams a lot, in the kind of graphic novel comic book style, and it's just fun. It's just so fun. And for a show about teenagers, you would expect, oh, okay, this is going to be another standard coming of age story, and it is. I'm not going to lie, it is, but it's an entertaining one. And maybe it's because I just don't know much Pakistani culture, or if I'm being perfectly honest here, I don't know much Middle Eastern culture, at least when it comes to young girls. I know mostly the Muslim and Middle Eastern men. I know a little bit about them. But yeah, I don't know shit what it's like to be a teenage girl being in the Muslim faith. And this show is handling it pretty good, at least to my honky ass. It's not too divisive. It's not too PG. It's not too accepting, but it's not too hateful. You know what I'm saying? It's got a good balance. So I got to give the director credit too. And yeah, congratulations, Marvel. You fooled me. And I'm one of your biggest fans. I wasn't ready to hate Miss Marvel, but I certainly had my doubts. And maybe that just is another reason for me to check myself before I wreck myself, because if you just assume something is going to be garbage or bad because you don't know anything about it, and you're like, what is this? A Muslim superhero? Ugh, this is just... No wonder the Democrats are going to get slaughtered in the midterms. Well, you're a fucking fool. And I was that. I'm not going to lie. I had thoughts like that. And I'm glad that I gave it a shot, and I'm glad I did it because it proved me wrong, and I shouldn't judge. I've been trying very hard to not judge so much in my life, and this is a perfect example of why I should keep up the work. But anyway, with that, I think we can move to wrap up this mofo. So yes, in closing, take it sleazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Treat others as you want to be treated. Don't be a judgmental cunt. And I've been asked a few times by friends, family that listen to this podcast. Who am I kidding? I have no family that listen. But I've been asked a few times, why do you always have to rate or give percentages to almost everything on this podcast? You always have to give a movie a 0 out of 10 or 0 out of 100, or you have to rate a sexual experience, or you have to give a percentage of how much you believe something. And I never really thought twice about it. And I was asked this by one of my faithful listeners last week. And I was about to give just a stereotypical cliche answer of, I just don't know, it's just the way I am. But I said, you know what, let me give this question its due diligence and actually give it some thought here. And the conclusion I came to is that the last two jobs I've had, my current one and my last one, combined have been 15 years, I would say. Yes, I was in banking for 8 years, and I think I've been in my current job about 7 years, maybe. So I actually may be closer to 16 years, but yeah, let's just have a nice round number and say 15 years with 2 jobs. And in those 2 jobs, it was very, very, very data driven. Obviously, when I was working at the bank, you're surrounded by numbers. You see numbers all fucking day. Decimal points, dollar signs, percentages. You have to do math quick. Even though we have built-in calculators and built-in systems that do a lot of it, you still have to do it on the fly. And so I got pretty damn good at that. And so I already was kind of acclimated to kind of working with numbers as my profession, even though, you know, I was a teller, I was a banker, I was mostly in sales. But ask any salesman, specifically financial salesmen, they'd tell you it's all about percentages. It's all about ratings and numbers. And it didn't stop there. In my current position, I am, again, surrounded by data, and I'm constantly breaking that data up into numbers, into decimal points, into fractions, into percentages. How close are we to finishing this project? Well, by this data, it looks like we're 77% to completion, which means we would hit our yearly goal of 100%. So currently our yearly goal, we're at 88%. So, you know, so I'm just surrounded by this shit. And it got me thinking, I can't be the only one that's roughly my age that is like that. I know, because if you work in I guess if you work in banking and any kind of tech giant company, whether it be Amazon or Walmart or Target, any of the banks, I mean, Facebook, Google, you name it, you have to be just looking at micro data all day. You're looking at algorithmic data all day, machine learning data all day. And I know I do. So I think that these jobs are basically teaching us to look at life. And I'm talking look at everything at life. And I'm talking physical things, mental things, emotional things, fictitious things, imaginary things, all through the lens of that data, of just auditing everything and breaking it down to decimal points and percentages. I don't know if that's good, because if you think about it, like my stoned ass is, the future of humanity, I believe, does involve androids, for better or worse. That's the way the world's moving. Now, is me watching a TV show, Raised by Wolves, that is starring androids affecting my thought process on this? Possibly. But I truly think that the future of humanity does involve androids at some level, to some degree. And if you think about it, if the largest job creating companies are these tech giants, that everything does get broken down into numbers and decimal points and percentages, that is a little bit like binary code. And so are we becoming half androids, is my point. So like, I look at my life and I can look at, okay, I'm 35 now. Based on my relatives, I'll probably live to be somewhere in my late 80s. But with technological advancements, who knows? Maybe we could live to 100 in the future. Who knows? So the way that I broke it down is like, okay, I'm 35. Let's just say I've lived 40% of my life. And that's how I look at everything. I break it down into percentages, decimal points, and whatever. Like, I look at how long I'm recording this podcast, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm roughly 97, 98, possibly 99% done here. I just can't help it. If I'm banging a chick, I'm like, yeah, this is probably an 8 out of 10 sexual session right now, and I'm feeling probably 88 out of 100 on the sexual prowess scale, and I just can't help it. I can't help it. It's a curse and a burden. And so if this is what it feels like to be half android, which is what I feel like these days, then God help us in the future. But I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But that is how I could answer that question from my faithful listener. Why do I constantly have to rate things, break things down into percentages? Just because I'm too far gone. I'm lost. 15 years surrounded by numbers and data has broken me down to the basics of human evolutionary biology, is that when I look at people, all I see is code, baby. And I don't even know how to write code, but god damn it, I can read it. And I can talk about it like I know what I'm talking about. I can bullshit pretty good. So yeah, I'm a lost cause. So my only hope for humanity is let's break up the numbers. We're not just numbers, we're people. And let's remember that. Full of shit. The Boys continues to be a dank show. The Boys may be the best fucking TV show currently on television. But with that, I'm going to say peace out, bitches. This was a good episode. I feel pretty good about it. And if I had to rate this, I'd probably give it a 90 out of 100. Oh, I'm a fucking lost cause. All right, love you guys. Later.